As we know from practicing restorative yoga ourselves, there are lots of benefits to a restorative yoga practice. Um, and a lot of this is around the nervous system. You know, the name restorative kind of tells us it's very it's very much about restoring and resting. Um, so in terms of stress and supporting the nervous system, restorative yoga is great for this. And all types of yoga are good in their own way, and they maybe work on our nervous system in different ways. And perhaps they offer something to different people or at different times or different times in our lives. Um, so restorative yoga is kind of unique in how it's practiced. Um, and it's really beneficial for people who are experiencing stress. And that includes just the day-to-day stress of normal life. It doesn't have to be a big kind of life changing stressful situation in order for people to experience stress in terms of their nervous system, you know, their sympathetic nervous system being activated. You know, a lot of people have that activated on a daily basis just from their life and their work and their family and juggling everything. So, the practice of restorative yoga creates a nurturing and supportive and safe environment for the body to release and let go. Um, and that's kind of key to the idea of it being restorative, because that safety that we experience hopefully from the restorative class gives people that, even almost on a subconscious level, on a cellular level, maybe it gives people's bodies that safety to let go and to let the guard down, which means coming out of that, almost that fight or flight state, or that vigilant state, and coming into the rest and digest state, where the body is then able to restore. So when we hold a pose or an asana for an extended period of time with all the props to help the body to be comfortable and safe, the body is then able to relax. And as the body physically releases, often the emotional tension that we might be holding in our body in connection to that physical tension also begins to release. So not only is there a physical release in that our muscles maybe become less tense, there often is a bit of an emotional release as well. Um, so the quiet stillness of yoga can help the mind to also settle, and it can encourage a state of meditation alongside the kind of healing benefits of the physical practice of the restorative asanas. So that kind of stillness and letting go doesn't always happen instantly. And for some people, that aspect of restorative yoga can be uncomfortable initially, which may be why some people are drawn, even people whose lives are a bit busy, go, 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 and perhaps are living more in a tenser, maybe more a heightened fight or flight state, might actually be drawn to those practices that emphasize that are more fast paced. But these slower practices like restorative yoga, it can be a bit jarring for people, but often once that initial discomfort kind of, if there is some, is kind of moved through, restorative yoga is really, really, really relaxing for people. And it's giving the nervous system essentially that kind of time out to to almost bring the parasympathetic nervous system back online. Um, and it's deep rest as well that um, a lot of people don't get. You know, we're busy 24/7, and for a lot of people, just lying in stillness doesn't happen very often unless they're asleep. And even being asleep for some people can be kind of not necessarily that restful, especially if people are stressed, that sleep can be disturbed. So that having the space of restorative yoga it can be very very nurturing and for the nervous system, and help to bring that parasympathetic nervous system essentially back online. So this all helps to, as I've said, to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and bring cultivate a state of rest and digest. And that rest and digest state is really important. It helps the body to restore not just the nervous system, but all the other systems of the body that are affected by being under stress. Even if it's just a small amount of stress, it can still impact on our digestive system, our hormone levels, our cardiovascular system, respiratory system. So we know that stress doesn't just affect the nervous system. It has this knock-on effect on our whole body. So cultivating deep rest through things like restorative yoga hopefully have that positive effect on our whole body, almost on a whole, again, like cellular level, by the kind of regenerative aspect of our parasympathetic nervous system. And that helps the body to kind of come back to homeostasis and to be functioning optimally, which is what we want for long-term health. Our parasympathetic nervous system is our long-term survival state, and that's going to, the more we can be living in that state, hopefully the healthier we're going to be overall, which will impact our long-term survival and our overall health. So alongside this kind of the nervous system and the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, the other benefits of restorative yoga are that it's gentle, passive stretching. So we're holding asanas for an extended length of time, whilst being supported by props to help us to feel comfortable. That facilitates the opening of fascia without pulling or putting pressure or tension on the muscles. So it's like a very slow but steady opening of the body, without pressure on the muscles or the ligaments or the tendons, sorry. So it helps to prevent injury in class because it's not done quickly or with load, but there is still, there's this sense of creep of the sensations in an asana creeping up as you're staying in the asana for an extended period of time, and that creep is almost what that's the stretch kind of opening, or the body opening slowly. So even though it might seem like not much is really happening in a restorative asana or a restorative yoga class, there can be quite a lot happening, and often it's when you come out of the asana that you feel the benefit of it. So this gentle stretching, as well as helping to prevent injury, it can improve circulation, relaxation, and also, again, this healing on a cellular level, so throughout our whole bodies. So restorative yoga is also quite an accessible practice, and this is important, I think, because yoga in general, whilst it really should be a practice for everybody, it should be accessible, it's not always taught in a way that's accessible. And some of the pace of the class or the asanas, they can make it quite tricky for people to do. Whereas with restorative yoga, the asanas are, people are guided into asanas in a way that ensures it's comfortable. The asanas are comfortable for people using all the props. So they should, in theory, be accessible for anybody. It can make it suitable for people with physical limitations, health conditions, or injuries, by allowing them to find comfort in a pose through using all of the props. It can also allow students of all ages and abilities to practice yoga and to experience the benefits. And we know yoga isn't about doing a handstand. That's not why we practice. So that restorative yoga maybe helps or allows lots of different people to be able to access it. It can also help to prevent injuries by passively stretching muscles and fascia, which then can improve mobility and range of motion. And that improved mobility can prevent people from being injured. So often people get injured due to tightness and limitations in their body, limitations in how they can move, and they might pull a muscle or so stretching and opening can really help to prevent these injuries. And then I think there's lots of benefits, but the other one that is important to recognise is the deeper connection to ourselves, which we can get through these quieter practices like restorative yoga. So through combining meditation with relaxation, the body is able to physically relax as it's held by all of the props during the class. But at the same time, the stillness of the practice helps the mind to settle. So the body is relaxed, the body is held, it's able to open up, but the mind is also able to settle and perhaps open up a little bit as well. And that can help people to potentially reach a deeper state of meditation when we're able to be in a position with ease and comfort. We're not distracted by the niggles in our body. So it can move the yoga practice from a physical one towards a more internal one. When you're doing restorative asanas, you're not focusing on putting your right leg forwards, lifting your left arm up, stepping the foot back, inhaling to lift, exhaling to fold, lengthening hip. We're not bringing our awareness to our body in that way or moving in that way and trying to keep up with the movement. We're staying in one position. And we are connecting to our bodies and noticing our breath, but we're not having to think about what we're doing next. So in that way, it allows the brain to kind of stop running, stop thinking about what's coming next, and just settle into being in the present moment, in the asana, doing what you're doing. So again, this helps to cultivate a sense of deeper connection to the true self. And we know this is kind of the whole point of our yoga practice, or one of the key points of our yoga practice is to move towards an internal awareness and connection to that inner self, maybe moving through the layers, the koshas, to connect into our soul or our spirit, and perhaps the simplicity and the scaling back of a restorative yoga class for a lot of people really helps them to do that.